Well, joining me all the way from Sweden is Abhimanyu Mishra. Hello, Abhimanyu. How are things?
Hi, Sagar. Things are going great. What about you?
Fantastic. I was following the Sigemen and Co. and your first super tournament, isn't it?
Yes, I came second. This is, of course, it's a great performance, but what I would like to mention is that, okay, the final round, I had everything under control. Like this queen pawn ending, I should have held. I 120 moves, I did everything correct. Then, okay, one slightest mistake. And I mean, Gelfand, he wrote a book on this, major piece endings.
You read
I
it.
went through his book, and that's how I learned about how you should keep the king in the corner and descending, and you should keep your queen in the center. Like I was playing upon the principles that he provided.
Wow.
And okay, and
Can we look at that game a bit towards the end? Because when I was looking at it, I thought it's very difficult to defend that end game. Also, I have a very nice picture of that. This is the one which I have, and this is after the game. You both are kind of walking outside, and you were almost going to win the tournament. Not win, but you would have tied with Swidler if you had drawn the game at the top,
yes,
who scored 4.5. How was your feeling at that point of time when the game ended? Did you feel like bad that, oh, I missed it? Or you were like, okay, this is a good tournament that I played?
of course. Okay, at that point, to be frank, when I was coming into this tournament, I was not expecting to be fighting for first in the final round. I thought like I should just make sure that I'm not one of the people in the final rankings. I wanted to get a couple places ahead.
Hmm.
But okay, final round, I felt that okay, I did whatever I could, and the screen pawn ending. I've worked many hours on this against engine, just trying to see what I should do and so on. But okay, even after that, that's not enough. So I like 95%, 99% of the end game I've covered. But okay, I should. I felt okay. I was a bit disappointed, of course, that because I think actually on move 50 there was some sort of like an easier draw. Like if I played Queen F5, I traded off the second pair of queens. I Instead of that, okay, if I play King D5 or F7, sorry, it was E7, E7,
Okay,
King E7. It
let
was
me pull up the board so we can have a look at it. Just a second, if I can send. You're saying you've spent like hours studying this Queen Endgame, yes?
yes.
And the book that you used to study that was Gelfand's or more material.
Like whatever games I was finding, I was just trying to play against the engine. Okay, just seeing which because this endgame is quite strange. At some points, like it's like winning like 50 moves, and you just like shift the position of the queens like very slightly, and it's a draw. Like
Okay,
it's very, very,
I'm very
very
curious,
complicated.
to learn from you. Okay, here we have the game.
Because actually in the opening I got into some trouble. Like he played this very interesting move, Queen C8.
Hmm.
Like I checked Queen C7, that's what he'd played before. Like Queen C7 F4, I think was supposed to be like a bit better for white, nothing too much. It's just I get a game, so
Right.
I
So
thought
he played Queen C8, and then here you were a little bit out of your prep, yes?
yeah, I thought okay, I'd still go with this F4 because I remember instead of Queen C8, F5 is also a move. I can just take and go F4. It's a little bit better. Sorry, Rook takes F5, not E takes F5.
Hmm.
Yeah, Rook takes F5, I go F4. It's like okay, a little bit better for white, no risk as such, and just keep playing.
Right.
This is what I wanted, like, because okay, if I have no risk, I get like Swidler was playing against Gukesh with black, so I didn't really expect he would win. I
Hmm.
think at one point he was also better. Okay, game got very complicated and there was a draw eventually. But
Right.
yeah, I just wanted to play like a calm game where I can just press a bit and okay, if he defends properly, it'll be a draw. I was fine with that.
Right. And so going to this point where you
Yeah,
both make
actually,
queen.
instead of Queen F5, like we had this
Yeah,
instead
here.
of this position I spent like 10 minutes. I played Queen F5, I calculated all the way this King D6, A1, E8, Queen. At first, you should one thing that you should calculate is like Queen E7, King E7.
Mm-hmm.
And now the thing is black goes queen a3 check. And I think I thought that, okay, this should be a draw, but I really wasn't sure whether I was missing some checks. Because if I go king e8, for example, in this position, I'm already lost. Like queen a4 check. King d8, he has queen a5.
And he takes
And
the
instead of
pawn.
king d8, if I go king f7, there's queen f4. Instead of
E7.
so king e7, queen b4 check. And now king e8, there's queen b8, king f queen b5 also works, queen b8 also works. Essentially, I just lose the e5 pawn. Like queen b5 check, so king goes to f7. Queen takes e5. Queen g8 check, king h8. Sorry, king h6, queen h8, king g5. Okay. Queen d8 is queen f6.
Right.
So, based on this, like after queen a3, you cannot go king e8. I thought, you have to go king f7. Black goes queen f3 check. If queen b3, you have e6.
Right.
This is just... I mean, once pawn gets to e6, you won't lose this. So queen f3 check, king... I think it was, king e7. Now, the only other check black has is queen b7.
Mm-hmm.
King e6, queen b3, king d7, and you just keep trying to wait like this.
Right. This should
queen
be
d5
a draw, no?
Yeah, this should also be a draw. I mean, I saw the endgame, and I thought, endgame I've worked so much, I thought I'll be able to make a draw there.
Okay. Let's go to that end game because
Sure.
I want to also understand it a bit better. So what had you learned here which you could apply?
Sure. This endgame there've been many games. I think back in the days of adjournments, I forgot the exact name of the players, but they were two very, very strong players. And the theory of back then was if the king reaches a5, a6, it's a draw.
Here.
If you just keep the king on a5, a6, because eventually like the pawn will get to g3, g2, and so on. Nowadays, with engines and table bases, this has been disproven, and it's been shown that you need to keep the king in the corner.
Here, right? A8 or A7.
Yes, a8, a7, b8, somewhere around there. Another thing is that you should always keep your queen centralized. Here, and actually the pawn was on g7, so I tried to bring my king to... And another thing is if my king ever reaches g1, it's just immediate draw. Like I thought... I tried king d4 here. He played queen... What did he do? He went...
Yeah, once. Well, so here, check, king
King
here.
f5, I played king d4, queen d7, king c3, queen d5. Like he's preventing me from going king d2, king e1.
Right.
I thought if I'm able to bring my king to...
This is a
King's
draw.
okay.
If you go...
Yeah, it's just a draw.
Right.
So, okay, after this, I decided to give a couple checks. I mean, just to make sure that his queen gets out of a centralized position.
Here it's kind of a tricky moment for you, right? Whether you should go this side or this side is not so simple to understand.
Yes, and also my queen is on h8, so I think I played king d3, king f4. And I played king c4 after that, actually. Or, I mean, yeah, king c4 directly is also just a draw. I mean, king e2, there's queen e5 check. For example, if I go king f2, there's queen b2.
Yeah.
King f1,
yes,
king g2.
This was a very nice finish, right? No checks.
You really don't want to get into this kind of thing. And my queen is, of course, in the worst possible position. I played queen h8 to prevent g5, if I remember correctly.
So when you went here...
But okay, it's still not too late. Like, I go king c4 and, like, black's queen, if the pawn was already on g3, I'm pretty sure I would have been lost. Like, with the queen on g5, king on c4, because I need my king to get into this corner. The purpose for this is if I keep my king on, say, a1 as opposed to a8.
Right.
Black will have a much easier time giving counter checks. Like, for example, say queen, at some point if I goes queen e2 check, queen f2, queen e4 check, king g1. And say in the black pawn is on g3. I cannot go queen b1 check because queen f1 and queens get traded.
Right. So when the king is on a1, you can't easily check because he can sort of trade the queens at some point. So it was very logical that you're going on the other side But
Yes.
now that you have all this knowledge, and you were applying it also well, what is the difficulty in holding this to a draw? Is it tiredness, or at some point there are too many options?
It's one of those end games where you cannot really calculate. Like you have to calculate. I mean, with 30-second increment, no matter how much time you have, I think there was some statement by Sam Shanklin that okay, in all the time controls, this end game is unsavable. I mean, I think that's probably a bit extreme. Like if one has worked on this end game, it should be possible. Like it's not like I almost defended this with pawn on g2 because basically, if you notice what I was doing, I was keeping my queen in the center. I wasn't allowing him to, like, for example, he has queen on e4 here, so I just kept checking. I forced his queen to e3. So I just kept annoying him, and I made sure that my queen always maintains the center. Like I think at one point, I don't exactly remember where he had some win. Like this was all fine. Queen h6, queen h3, queen f4, queen h8.
Yeah, it looks like you are doing
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Actually, king a8 is a mistake, I think.
King a8. Okay.
This one is very, very strange.
I
don't
remember
know.
there was also a game between Arjun and Artemiev, World Rapid, I think, and it was like he had to choose between these two squares at some point, and one of them drew and one lost, and he moved to the wrong square, I think, at some point.
Yeah, because that also there's a very big difference. I mean, it looks very minimal, but sometimes it depends like on a lot of different checks. Like, for example, say black queen is on f7 and his king is on g4. I want to go queen e4, but if my king is on b8, there's queen f4 check.
Sorry, let me just try to set that up. What
Like, okay,
position?
let's say we can make like 2-3 moves. Let's say king b7, queen f6.
Yeah,
This is very hypothetical. Okay, king a8,
yeah.
queen f7, king b8. I mean, of course, none of these moves are correct.
Sure.
King g4. Okay, here, of course, there's queen e2 check and all this, but say queen e4 is the only check. I'm not sure which board that would be, but
Right.
But yeah, now this is check.
Counter check.
So yeah, sometimes these key checks are kind of avoided by the king placement.
Right. So
After
here,
king a8, I think queen d5 check is just winning for black. Like queen d5, king a7, he goes king g4. Usually, whenever he was going queen d5, he could have went queen g8, queen d5 at different places as well, but I would have had one extra tempo to maybe play queen c3, and if king g4, queen g7. Because here I'm kind of getting a bit dominated. Like if I go queen e2, you go king f4, queen f1. You can go king g5, queen c1, and okay, which square was winning?
king h5.
Maybe you can just go to h5.
Yeah.
Yeah, now g2 happens. Like if black gets g2 and his queen is on d5, he should probably be winning because he has a much more centralized position.
So here, this happened, and it's still a draw. Yes, this position.
I think so. I played at one point. He was trying all these different things. I played queen d5, which is a mistake, I think. I had to go queen c5. But I think, okay, already black, I would have been afraid of like king h2 anyways, because if I go queen h5, king g3 is annoying. Like here I have no checks. This is one example of how simple it is to mess up and just lose. So you have to go queen c7, I think, and then you go to h7 and so on.
Yeah.
Of course, black is going to prevent one of your checks with this queen, and the cycle will keep repeating. Queen. Look, after this, I messed up, and I think after this, he played perfectly. I mean, there's no more stalemate tricks. I tried whatever.
Wow, that was an amazing game. And Abhimanyu, I was not planning to start this interview with this game, but you had so many insights into it, so was great fun looking at it. one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and this has been at my place for quite some time now, is your book. It's called The Youngest Chess Grandmaster in the World at 12 years, 4 months, and 25 days. And it's written by you. Um, I mean, becoming a GM at the age of 12 is already tough.
Sure. Before that, I'll just finish off this game. I'll just say that after this game, of course, I was feeling a bit disappointed that I couldn't fight for tie breaks for first place. But I mean, there was nothing more I could have done. Like I put everything I do, and okay, these kind of things can happen.
Absolutely. No, I want to come back to this tournament. I
Sure.
hadn't stopped that. But yeah, it was fantastic, this entire fight. And also there are a few games that I want to see, especially your two wins against Jorden van Foreest and also Vincent Keymer. I think both amazing chess players, and you managed to beat both of them. So, but what I was saying is that it's already tough to become a GM at 12. How, I mean, writing a book, this requires a lot of effort and a lot of time, yeah, to put in.
Definitely. My main inspiration for writing this book was that if you look at most chess books, it's about a certain player. It's more about how the player is portraying themselves to be. It's more of a collection of how good this player was, like how well he calculated, or how deep his opening preparation was, or how well he played the end game. All these kind of things. And my idea with this book was that I was going to share my journey with with all of its ups and downs. I didn't want to show that okay, if you want to become a great chess player, that you need to have this 20 move calculation, and you need to be able to beat the table bases in two knights versus pawn. Like I wanted to portray it in a more humanly attainable way.
Right. And that's why if we look at the chapters also of the book, there are 8 chapters in it, and you've sort of broken it down into the different levels that you achieved. Like chapter 1 is about you starting off your journey. Chapter 2 is you reaching the expert level, let's say 1500 elo. Then chapter 3 is about you becoming the youngest national master in US history. Chapter 4 is about you becoming the youngest.
I think it was six was GM,
6 was
five
GM,
was
5 was IM.
5 was IM, then okay, 4 was National Master, 3 was Expert, and then 2 was 1500.
Wow.
And 1 is just the starting. So my idea was that I was going to present all these different levels and how to get from one level to another. And I was going to present all the details, like what I was going to have, for example, games of the time. I annotated those games, and I was explaining how I was thinking during that time, and so on. Another, like the main focus of those chapters was all the mental and physical challenges and all the different things I needed to change in my play. So, for example, in one of the earlier chapters, because chess is a very cruel game, a lot of the times, the result, like 1-0, which is marked on the score sheet, is of course, when you look at it from, if you just look at the result 1-0 without looking at the game, it'll look like, okay, this guy is just superior than his opponent. But there are a lot of non-chess factors that also apply.
Right.
For example, in one of the earlier chapters, I mentioned that when I was 5 years old, in US there's this tournament, Amateur East. It's a notorious tournament with a very, very long time control, like 2 hours with, after 40 moves, another 1 hour. It was, and the games, they start at like 7:30 p.m. So, okay, it can go up to very, very late.
Right.
1 a.m., 2 a.m., okay, perhaps even more. I played this tournament first when I was 5 years old, and I was playing some 35-year-old man, and it was I was better. I think I was probably even winning. And I was just way too tired. I had to resign the game.
Hmm.
I could not stay awake any longer.
Oh my God.
So after this loss, I went to my dad, and there's one thing about my dad which I'd like to admit that I mean, I wasn't very happy about this back then, but okay, now I've understood why he's done it. He's never consoled me for the wrong reasons. For example, like
He's
back then,
never what has he never done?
like for example, he never said that it was okay. What he said that it was weakness.
Hmm.
That this was going to happen again. Like he said, next year the same term is going to happen again, and if you don't do anything, he I'm going to run into the same issue.
Right.
So he focuses on the problem, and that night we both came up with a solution.
Which was?
That I was going to start sleeping before the game,
Oh.
taking naps. Back then I didn't really understand what was going on. Like I was just following whatever he was saying, and it worked out. Like next year when I was 6 years old, I played the same tournament. I was playing against some higher rated, and like it was a dead equal game, and at like 2 a.m. in the morning I finally won the game.
Hmm. Wow.
So this book shows all the mental and physical challenges such as this, all these different stories. Another example of this is in the chapter where I was becoming international master. I had to play a norm event in California, and their time zone is, I think it's 3 hours ahead of New Jersey.
Hmm.
And the first round starts at 7 p.m. So it'll be like 10 a.m. in New Jersey, and I'm playing first round Gayamagami 25-50. Like I was very, very concerned about how the tournament would go, of course.
Hmm.
Because okay, you're playing one of Iran's strongest players, and it's like 10 a.m.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Like it's going to be like the game will go up to like perhaps even like 3 a.m. and you have to stay awake. You need to actually play good moves.
Hmm.
So I was quite concerned about this. So we made another plan that and unfortunately we could not go before the tournament.
Hmm.
There were a lot of other issues, and so then we came up with the plan that 1 week in advance we would change our time zone.
Hmm.
So that week, I remember I was staying up to like 3, 4 a.m. Like my head was hurting. I was taking walks, holding positions. I mean, now when I look back, it was a very funny experience. But back then, it must have seemed like hell for sure. But yeah,
I think this
again,
has been a very big part of your journey, right? Wherever you have sort of hit roadblocks, you have tried to figure out solutions, sort of not taken time. You kind of address it immediately, try to figure a way out of it, and keep moving on.
yes, and that game against Gayamagami, I made a comfortable draw, so that was a very nice experience. Oh, and yeah, there was one thing I forgot to completely mention. This book, there are many players I've seen that are very strong, like, and they've reached say some level like 2300, FIDE master,
Mm.
and then they're not really sure on what to work on and how to get forward, and like, no matter how hard they're trying, they're still stuck at 2300 for next like 5-6 years.
Right.
And this has happened to countless people I've seen. So this book, at the end of each chapter, there's one paragraph which summarizes the things that I've done. Like for example, books. I think for IM, one such book was like Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual. So I was kind of showing to the reader that anything anything in this world which, for example, any goal. For example, let's say Grandmaster. If you plan it well and you execute it perfectly, you can conquer anything, any challenge.
Wow. Well, I need that kind of motivation. Yeah, I have to become a GM at some point. So
It's possible. It's possible.
need to take your advice on that. But as you rightly said, and I think if you look at your journey of becoming a GM, at some point COVID had struck and it was difficult for you to travel to tournaments, but you guys didn't give up. You went to
I
your
mean, it's a nightmare in that kind of scenario. Like,
yeah,
for example, if I'm in the middle of a tournament, if for whatever reason either one of us got corona, we'd have to stay in the hospital and in a foreign country, like with no like outside family. Okay, things could become very strange very quickly.
right. Wow. So this book you recommend for players of all levels, even for
Yes.
strong players, they can get something from it. They can understand your way of working, how you are improving. Also, there are some very nice pictures in it. Uh, I quite liked your pictures of when you were very young, and those ones are also in there. When you were
Yes.
like your Simul with Fabiano Caruana here and all of that. So amazing. It's a
Thank you.
great thing. I think it also makes you the youngest author in the chess world. Isn't it true?
I, yeah, I think so. This
What was your age when you finished this? Like you became a GM in June 21, I think, roughly at that point, June or
I'm
July.
not entirely sure, but maybe it's just like 12, 13, somewhere around there. I'm not sure about the exact date when
Mm,
this.
mm.
Like I'm not able to remember. This is a very rare occurrence. Usually I remember everything.
Right. Did you like in the recent times start playing a little less, or is it not true? Like I was just looking at your sort of graph, and you have been playing, but not so much. Like you have been playing like one tournament a month. Sometimes some months you have not been playing.
Sure.
So
I mean, this is mainly because before every tournament I have goals. I mean, there's this other world, like for example, what Gukesh did. You played like all these like 10 open Gukesh, Hans, and what Pragnananda, like all what all these guys did, where you played like 10 open tournaments and then you get this rating. I believe that okay, whatever strength you have, that will come, no matter whether it's 1 day, 1 week, 1 year. Like if I keep playing tournaments and I have this level, if I keep performing this level, my rating will come.
hmm,
So based on this, I never felt a need to play more tournaments. Of course, like when I was chasing norms and all those things, like I played 75 games in 70 days or something like that. I mean, that was a different thing because that was like time constrained.
right.
But yeah, in general, I've never really felt the need to play too many tournaments.
Uh-huh. It's not like you feel like, oh, I need to now stop preparing, I need to go and play. For you, preparation is also fun.
Yes.
Mm, that's very
There's no
interesting.
use going to a tournament with half completed things. I mean, those if I'm in the middle of a book and if I go to a tournament and the other half of the book happens in the game, what am I going to do?
How do you decide what you have to finish before a tournament? Like there's so much to do in chess, right? You can study queen end games as you did right now. You can study maybe positional play. You can study something else. How do you decide
Definitely.
that before this event I need to prepare this way?
I decide with my dad and my coaches and they guide me on advice on what to finish,
Mm.
on what to do, what are the most important aspects.
Okay, interesting. So that's how it is. You are going now to Sharjah Masters to play, which is like kind of back-to-back events. You played in Sweden, now you're going to Sharjah, then to Dubai. But I believe that there is also another aim behind going to UAE. It's not just chess.
Yeah, I mean, chess is the main thing. Earlier there was a plan to go to India, but okay, after that, but there were like 3, 4 days in between. It wasn't really worth it to take like 2, 3 extra flights, and okay, we decided just to go there. Oh yeah, and apart from that, I have exams.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. You have
So
to you have to go in middle of Sharjah Masters on one of the days to write your exam.
yeah, that's going to be crazy. I mean, before this call, right now I was watching some preparational video on one subject of this. Like, it's going to be like there's a lot of pressure from the school side as well. So next year I'm planning to take a year off
Mm.
so that I can put my chest to my fullest and see where I can go.
Which school do you go to?
I go to an online school, Crimson Global Academy. They're quite flexible. Like this school is usually like 2-3 hours a subject per week. It's not too much. It's like very, very less as compared to public schools. Because public schools in US are also quite crazy because there you cannot take off. Like if you I think there's like five off days in a year. After that, you cannot graduate or something like that.
Okay. And here in UAE, I mean in Dubai, there's a center which is kind of affiliated with your online school. So you can go there and actually write your exam in person.
Yes, I mean usually like last year I didn't have to do such thing, but I think maybe it's because the level is going up. I think like when this year I for half of the year I thought I was doing like eighth grade things, but then they told us that okay, this is like 10th, 11th stuff, so that makes sense like why I have to go to an actual center to do these things.
Imagine you are, I don't know at which round it is, but imagine you are winning the tournament.
I
And
think it's like round three, so
okay.
okay, it's not too bad. It's not like
Okay, okay. It's not like it's final round and you are in the lead and you have to prepare against, let's say, some 2700 plus player, but you are going and writing the exam. That would be the most interesting story, I would say, that would happen. But this is also commendable that you are trying to manage everything. Does it become too hard at some point to manage chess as well as academics?
of course it's a very interesting subject, but yeah, it at times it becomes this balance, it becomes very difficult to find. And sometimes like okay, you as you were mentioning, I've seen players like from the US. I think in other countries like India and so on, like the rules about academics are very relaxed.
Right.
I mean, of course, the academic thing is still at a very, very high level. But the thing is, like in US, I've seen players like if I'm like in US, I've even if you're going for a world championship match, you have to do homework in the middle of the rounds. It's it's frankly ridiculous.
True, true. And I guess, as you said, your decision next year to take a break would greatly be beneficial for you, because if you look at where you are standing right now, you already reached 2572. That's quite a amazing rise. You are in top
Yes,
20
actually,
juniors.
I mean, frankly, I still believe I'm highly underrated. I mean, for the last 1-2 years, I've been stuck at 2550.
Hmm.
My like I've done many, many books and so on. I believe I should break 2600 in next couple tournaments for sure.
Which which
Perhaps
is
even
which is Sharjah
like
and Dubai.
Sharjah and Dubai, that's the whole point. I'm going to break 2600 in these two tournaments.
Wow. Where does this confidence come from? It's your work, yes, that gives you
Yes, I
this.
mean all the hours I put in on all these books, all these calculation exercises, and also like my performance in this event was very, very solid. Like if the final game it was very, very interesting. Like someone moved to 120, I'm making some mistake. Okay, that is very much fixable. Like what I was expecting in this event, I was going to get like -2, -3, and okay, I would have like a much more terrible event. But okay, this was a very nice surprise. Of course, I wanted to get there, but I was being realistic because usually when 2500s, 2550s go into such events, I think it also had something to do with the fact that I played in the before this I was playing the Spring Chess Classic in St. Louis, a field full of like 2650s. So basically it was this tournament, but the highest rated player of Spring Classic was equivalent to the lowest of this field.
Correct, correct.
So
And
there
also,
actually
yeah.
that didn't go so well. I got like 3.5 out of 9. Most games, like 7 draws, 2 losses. There also, I wasn't really playing too well, so I wasn't coming in this event on very high hopes. But after that, I mean, I started. Once you play higher, I mean, the fear of losing just completely goes away. Like you have that, I had nothing to lose when I was playing in this event.
Right.
And the thing is, they all had something to lose because okay, if I beat any one of them, they're going to lose like 7 points, right? And I only lose like 1 point, 2 points. So
Yeah,
I guess that's
this was a great event for you. And then you played against Jorden in round 2, and this was a very important. I mean, the entire game was nice, but I thought that this position was where things started to sort of get into your stride, because here it looks like Black is doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think H6 G3 was actually a mistake. It looks very, very natural to take on G3 to open the H file.
You mean
But I think
taking
H6 G3 like engines and so on, they're saying it's a mistake. You should go H3 actually. It's very strange because it feels like Black has all the space on the king side. Why am I just locking it up?
It's modern chess now. I think I mean, it's bad to make kind of a generalization, but I feel like these days pushing the pawn to h3, the
Yes.
engines prefer it much more than h takes g3 often. Yeah.
Yes, I mean here it looks very natural because in this position after H takes G3, give Black like 5 moves. I go King F7, Rook H5, Rook H8, Queen H6, Rook H1. It's mate. Like the issue is you're just not getting this time because next, and also this is probably much of an overstatement because even after you achieve Rook H5, Rook H6, Rook H5, King F7, Rook H8, Queen H6, I always have F4. Of course, my structure gets butchered, but by the time you're doing all these things, I'll play B5, BC6, Rook B7. So
True.
I will also have a lot of play.
You're just getting in from here. Yeah. So when
what the engine was suggesting was H3, Bishop H1.
Yeah.
Its point is just positional. You're just going to go castle. B5. A takes B5. A takes B5. C takes B5. It looks very, very strange. C takes D5. It looks like white is already like better, but black goes E5. This is very important move. D takes E5. Bishop takes E5.
Wow.
And now the difference is shown. If the same position of my bishop is on G2 and you had traded the pawns on G3, my king would not be so weak. Like here, if a rook lands on C1, I'm just about dead, right? Because he just doubles on the first rank, and I just cannot defend F1. With my bishop on G2, everything is perfectly defended. And this is the main difference. It's of course very difficult to see, but it was there.
Yes, it's like when you analyze these patterns, then next time when you get such a position, you might think a bit in this direction, right?
Yes.
So you took back, and when he took here,
BC4.
I think you would have been very pleased when you got to play this move.
Definitely. I mean, this position was very, very sad for the last couple moves. I was spending a lot of time because I was very worried that if I miscalculate one move and if I miscalculate by one tempo and black gets King of 7, Rook H5, Rook H8, I'm just busted. So I was spending a lot of time, and then he played DC4 here. Of course, I was considering Queen takes C4.
Right.
I mean, this is the most natural move. His point was that he wanted to go E5. And I could say D takes E5, Bishop takes E5, Queen Rook A3, Bishop E6, Queen C5. Something like this is what I had to decide between.
Right.
I considered this a lot, of course, but I was worried that at some point, if black gets Bishop D5 in optimal circumstances and these bishops get traded, like Queen H6 is made, right?
Right.
Like Rook D8, for example, with the idea of Bishop D5. I think Rook D8 actually I have B5, so this is not very, very good for black at the moment.
But he can do this, right, or not?
Yeah, maybe, but I take BC6. Need to play BC6. BC6, I mean, I can go rook b7 already. Like your king is kind of shaky in the center as well.
Right.
Like okay, queen 6, queen 7 is mid.
But
So
e4 made a lot of sense to open up the position here.
yeah, I mean now the position just completely explodes. Like bishop e7 was one move. Another idea was f4. 4 e5.
Yeah.
F3. E takes f6. F takes e2. Knight e3. This position is an absolute mess. But I think white should be fine because the main point is I'm taking either g4 or c4, depending on which one you save.
Right.
Then I will play rook 8. I think rook a2 or b2, and I'll pick up the e2 pawn. And after that, okay, I have a pawn on f6. Your bishop on your bishop on d7 is not very encouraging. It's not better than my knight on g4 for sure.
Right.
So I thought here I'm not worse in any way. So this looked like a very, very nice change of character of the game. And also, I calculated bishop e7, knight e3, whatever happened in the game. Whatever happened in the game is actually knight e3. You should go c3. The game is still very complicated after c3.
Yes.
Like you just try to save the pawn, and I think white, maybe I can take on f5, take on f5. But the point is, it's not very simple for me to attack him. And he still has two bishops. My king's still kind of strange. Like, kind of in a... My king safety is not the best. I mean, somewhere if he goes f4, at the right moment, things could become very dangerous.
But I think it was natural for him to sort of cling on to the pawn. He played b5. But what was very...
But after this, I mean, everything just opens. Like, e takes f5, e takes f5, rook a7. Like, already you cannot defend. Like, queen d4, knight f5. Right. This is one of the main points.
Right. But what I like this next phase of this game, I think this was very energetic play by you.
d5, c5.
C5.
Here I had 7 minutes. So you have 7 minutes. You're playing against Jorden. He has 45 minutes. And now you need to decide whether you make a draw or you play d6. Because there was one line I had seen just about immediately. Like if I played bc5, bishop c5, knight takes g4, queen e7, knight f6, king f7. Okay, I don't really think it matters, but king f8, I think knight takes d7 is check, right? So just... It probably doesn't do anything, just people like avoiding checks.
Right.
So okay, queen takes e7, king takes e7, knight takes d7. Oh, sorry, not knight d7. Bishop takes a7.
Yeah.
Rook is hanging.
Sorry,
Take rook takes
start
d7.
with the rook. Yes.
Yeah, rook takes d7, rook takes d7, or even king takes f6 is the same kind of endgame. Maybe king takes f6 is slightly more accurate instead of rook takes d7. But then I have like some extra options of rook c7 and this. Yeah, maybe it's not too clear because king takes f6, rook c7, bishop d6, rook c6, b5 is hanging, and b4 at rook c4. It should just be I mean, this is a bit better for white.
Right.
So maybe instead of king takes f6, he'll play a rook takes d7. Takes. Take everything on d7, rook b5.
Oops, sorry. Yeah.
And the same game should be a draw. Like black goes king d6, like go bishop f1 maybe. I thought I should make a draw here, like without any issues. But okay, black is the one who's pressing a bit with this fast c pawn. So I had a decision to make between this and d6. And of course, I spent like 5 minutes here. I decided that, okay, d6, queen d6. I think knight d5 is a very critical move because rook d1. Rook d1 is like the move you play in a bullet game. Just attack the queen, bring the rook to open file. But now black goes queen e6.
Right.
And it's actually not too easy to get an attack going. You have all your pieces in the optimal positions, but I mean, queen b2, black has bishop f6, and okay. If you do not see anything concrete here, you should just better take the draw.
Right.
Because this can easily just go south. Black still has 2 bishops. If his kings get saved, he has 2 extra pawns on the queen side as well. Like, okay, you're going to be lost. What I found was this knight d5 move. The point is, rook a6 is very, 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 very annoying. Like, cp4 is one move I was calculating. Rook a6, queen c5, rook e1, and now rook h7, I have knight f6.
Nice.
And generally, if you have two bishops and you have these three connected pawns on the queen side, you might survive, but your king is still in danger.
True. So after knight d5, he went
He
rook
found his,
h6.
yeah, this was actually a very interesting defense because if I go rook a6, he goes rook e6.
Hmm.
And now he gets this e5 square for his queen, and now it's not. Maybe queen b2 here still. Yeah, actually, maybe this was also winning. I haven't checked this with engine. Actually, I haven't checked rook a6 with engine, but yeah, queen a6, there's knight c7.
Right.
And if black goes queen e5, you have rook e6, queen b2, rook e7.
True.
So maybe this was also an alternative way of doing things. But of course, black can always find some way to sack his queen. But okay, it should still be lost. What I did in the game was actually quite clean though, because I played rook d1, so now my threat was knight c7. So I kind of forced him to go rook e6.
Right.
Otherwise, you cannot stop knight c7 without hanging behind e7. So now queen c2. Now queen c2, now knight c7 is the even bigger threat. Now you cannot stop knight c7 again. He tried to play, but yeah, queen e5. I played knight c7.
Check.
And I played knight takes e6.
Once you pick this up, it's just winning for you.
Still, I mean, you have to make, what was it, 5 moves, and you have like 30 seconds.
Right.
Queen c3 is actually it's a very nice move. The main point is I need to attack this king because black still has 2 bishops. He still has outside fast pawns. If you play like 1-2 moves incorrectly, and if somehow black gets queens off, like him saving the game is not too far. That prospect is always there, or
Right.
even it becomes dangerous because black goes b4, c3, and so on. So queen c3, the main point is if I go queen d2 instead of queen c3, if I attack this bishop,
Right.
he goes bishop e8.
Hmm.
Just make sure you don't go to c8 because bishop c8, queen takes d8 is game.
True.
And after bishop e8, I don't have this move queen h6 check.
Right.
So I played queen c3 to provoke bishop 6. So if after queen d2, bishop e8, I have queen h6.
Nice. Very cool.
So yeah, he tried bishop d4. But now after bc5, I can basically pre-move queen g5 because everywhere you move the bishop c6 fails to queen g5. I just attack this rook, and now rook d4 is also a threat. It's just game over.
Right.
He tried bishop e8, queen g5, rook d7, takes. One thing that you should not do here is play queen f4 because queen f4, bishop f2 would be.
Yeah, that would be terrible. So rook e1 you played, and after bishop f7,
just bringing rook to the open file. And okay, bishop takes c5. Yeah, okay, here, I mean, game is just about over. Bishop c5, I think there's like 20 ways to win, but rook e5 is very convincing.
True. Wow, and the game ended with bishop f7, queen h6, and queen f4. And Jorden said it's enough. The pawn is running down.
E6, c7, queen b8. I mean, your king is still weak. There's no way your pawns are going to get ruling in time.
Beautiful. So this was actually a very big win for you. One of the sort of best players out there, Jorden. I think he's also underrated, if we can say so, with 2680.
Yes.
He has crossed 2700 before. So this was a great confidence booster right in round 2 because you had drawn round number 1 and you won this game, and that led you to round number 3 now, where you played against Vincent, who is one of the finest young talents out there. And in this game, let's just go through it. I wanted to pull out the...
Yeah, the opening was quite interesting. I should have just taken on e4. Okay, once the board comes, I'll explain.
Yeah, let me turn it up. Yes, here we go. So here I mean, it was Slav
Yes.
and you were playing black. Let me just flip it. And I felt like you played the opening well, but somewhere
Yeah,
white
knight
started.
f6.
Yeah.
Knight f6 is kind of not a great move. You should just take on e4. I was kind of afraid that maybe queen takes e4. Like if I play c takes d4, knight takes d4, these positions, it could become unpleasant because now, for example, knight b5 is a threat, queen c6, even if he trades off the queens, white has a better bishop. Like I think white's bishop on b2 is maybe a bit better than bishop on e7. And like knight takes e6 is a threat and all these kind of things.
Yes.
So I thought this could become unpleasant. Instead of cd4, knight f6 was what I was considering. Queen e5. And okay, here you just go queen b7, engine claims you're fine.
Mm. But you went knight f6, and I think one of the critical moments in the game we reach here,
Yeah, there were a
because
lot of mistakes actually in this part. Like before, like I think after knight f6, bishop takes b7 was like it was already like much better for white.
I hear.
Like queen takes b7, what we both probably missed was the d5. E takes d5. Okay, c takes d5, knight takes d5, black is completely fine.
Hmm.
So rook now actually white goes rook h1 instead of cd5.
Ah, okay, g1.
Now if I go rook fe8, there's bishop takes f6. G takes f6, rook takes d5, and I'm just busted.
Right.
And okay, I have to go bishop d8, cd5, and white is already much better.
Correct.
I think this intermediate move rook h1 is what he missed.
Hmm.
But okay, a lot of interesting moments later we got to this position after rook b8.
Yeah. And here he pushed his pawn to g5. The engines scream that white is winning here. Would Did you also feel that during the game, or you were like, okay, it's still complicated?
There was this moment after, yeah, instead of rook b8, I could have played maybe, what was the other move? But yeah, even actually, when I was playing rook b8, I saw g5, queen b6. I calculated a couple variations. It seemed very, very sharp. And because I knew that if I just play this normally, I'm going to lose the game.
Hmm.
It looks like white's king is a bit weak. And this is what I was capitalizing on, that I'm going to start an immediate assault on the b file. But if I don't do anything direct, okay, white has two bishops. His bishops are actually quite good. Like in my knight on f6, my king side is quite weakened. White has more space. I'm just going to lose the game against such a strong technical player like him.
Right.
Like rook b8, g5, queen b6, queen e5.
Yeah, because
But I'm
now if he
talking,
takes, then you
yeah,
have queen takes d4,
yeah,
and
bishop takes
this
f3.
just wins for you. So he went queen e5,
Oh
which
wait,
is
queen takes queen d4. Okay, yeah, there's just one detail. Like gf6, queen d4. First of all, actually, just okay, bishop h7 doesn't work, but I think you have to see queen g2, queen takes f6. Like, okay, it's
yes,
well, maybe even g6 also wins, but okay, queen takes f6 is nice.
nice.
It also queen f6, queen g3.
Ah,
Okay, this is an example where nice is not necessarily good.
e5 maybe, or
Bishop takes, queen b6, king a1. But okay, again, if you just go g6 on the previous move, there's just nothing to calculate.
right. So he went queen e5. You took this pawn, threatening a mate in one here.
Yeah, this was actually the point where I had to make the decision. Like, still, I could have pulled the brakes and played bishop c6 instead of this, and white can go, say, rook d3, knight e8. And now I was considering, like, white can go a3, king a2. Like, black is kind of tied up, and white has more space, more active pieces. the two bishops, I wasn't going to save this.
Hmm.
Because I was calculating bishop takes f3. It looked very interesting. I mean, I'd missed this rook f1, rook f2. Like rook d6, queen g1, rook d1, queen b6. Engine gives like +5.
Yes. With this move, rook f1, but okay, it's not so easy to see it.
Yeah, rook f1 he saw, but I think what he was afraid of was bishop e2.
Hmm.
But actually, what's important is that you don't go to e1, but you go to f2. Oh, sorry, I mean this is for bishop g2. Bishop g2, you cannot go rook g1 because there was queen g1.
Ah.
Okay, you have to go rook f2. This is probably what he missed, that the rook is not hanging.
Right.
But I think black could still try like bishop e2, rook f2, bishop takes c4.
Bishop e2.
Say rook f2 or rook e1. I don't
Yeah.
really think it matters too much. Bishop c4, gf6, g6. Okay, engine might show +5, but your king is still weak. Your rook is kind of sort of hanging, and I have 2 pawns. My king is not that weak, so okay, good luck trying to win.
Yeah. But he went rook.
Like my point is that there's still a lot of practical difficulties.
Right. But it should be winning for white here.
Yeah, it should be.
But rook d3 was played. Check. Bishop back.
Again, rook d1, queen b6, there was a repetition, and then he could have went like rook f1.
Right. But he went bishop d1, and now you found this very nice move, rook c8.
I think this is comparison, like rook c8 versus rook e8. Because one of the lines is like rook c8, g takes f6.
Yeah.
Bishop takes d1. And let's say I think rook g3. Now if black goes queen f1,
Right.
rook takes g7, king h8. You could do the same thing with the rook on e8, but your attack would be much less destructive.
True.
Like here, I think black is already winning. Like instead of this, white has to pull the brakes and go queen g3 after gf6, bishop d1. Yeah, actually, I think this is the line which I calculated before playing rook c8. Like queen g3, rook, queen takes g3, rook takes g3, g6. Like the same position if you put the rook on e8, I think white might be completely fine after rook d3, rook d6. But with rook on c8, already white has to deal with some problems. Like rook on c8 is a much better piece than rook on e8, is my point.
Right. But also there was this one point where I think king c1 is also removed from the...
Yeah, king c1 is like, okay, it's a very, very engine move. With like both players going down to like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, you're not going to play king c. I mean, king c1 is findable, but it's very, very difficult.
True. He played queen
I think
c7.
gf6, queen g3. Yeah, queen c7, he miscalculated here. He thought I would go rook f8. Like rook f8, he was going to go rook d8. Knight e8.
Yeah.
I think somehow the engine still gives a draw if you go h6. h6, bishop a3, king h7.
But when h6?
Sorry, knight e8, queen e7.
Yeah.
And now you have to go h6, bishop a3, king h7, queen takes f8, and somehow you make a draw. But already this is looking very... It's already like next to impossible.
Right.
So, because actually his main point was that rook f8, rook d8, knight e8, queen e7. If I play bishop takes d1, there is queen takes f8 and bishop a3.
You're not even in time to give a check, so yeah.
Like it made it.
So rook e8 was played, which was a great move by you. And then after
Yes.
rook d2, you...
One main point is that if he still tries to go g takes f6, now that his queen is on the wrong square, I have bishop e4.
Right.
And queen d6, I have queen takes d1. So
he went rook e8. Sorry, you went rook e8 and he went rook d2. He didn't take because this was the problem. So rook d2.
Yeah, now I play bishop takes d1, g takes f6. Actually, what's probably much easier here is go bishop a4, bishop c1, queen g6.
Ah, okay.
Like, when I play bishop h5 in the game, it's completely winning, of course. Like, white goes... But I think white's best chance is king c2. I think you probably still win after bishop g6, but okay, things... It kind of gets to the game. Like,
Right.
maybe king b3, queen e3, bishop c3, gf6. Okay, you should win. You're up by two pawns, his king is much more weak.
Hmm.
But then there's rook d8. I mean, you have to deal with all this kind of things.
True.
Yeah, after bishop c1 in the game, I completely forgot about queen g6 check till I played bishop g6.
Mm-hmm.
If I can just take on f6 without ruining my pawn structure here, but okay, what I played in the game is also winning. It's just makes life a bit more difficult for me.
Yeah, you give a check from here, king b2, and
Now
then you took
gf6.
here.
I'm still up by 2 pawns and his coordination is not the best, so I should win. Like king g7, I'm just avoiding the trade of rooks. I think maybe rook d8 is best practical try.
Hmm.
He's still like dead lost instead of h4. Instead of h4, I mean here it's already a bit late.
Yeah.
Like rook d8, I'll take on d8, queen takes d8, go king g7, you're not saving this. The c pawn is not going to be dangerous because at some point I'll go bishop e4, bishop c6.
True.
And you still have to deal with me mating you, that's not off the table still.
Right. So h4, king
King g7,
g7, c5.
c5, queen g4, okay, threatening mate. Queen b7, queen f4. I should have went queen g3 with the same idea of rook b8 and so on, but I mean here it's very, very nice trick. It's still dead lost, but white can provoke queen takes f7 check.
What? Here.
Now if bishop 7, there's rook g2.
Ah. If bishop f7, rook g2,
There's
and
rook
then
g2.
you.
But I saw that during the game, I became very, very scared for 1 second.
Hmm.
But then I realized if I go king takes f7,
Uh,
instead of
yeah.
king takes f7, rook d7 check. I go rook e7, takes e7, takes e7, takes f4. I mean, at first it looks like, okay, white is only down 1 pawn, but then I realized during the game that I go e5. Then next move, I play bishop e4, bishop c6. Then I play king e6, f5, f4. And now usually if I only have 2 pawns left, it might be there are ways where you can make a draw, but here you cannot sack your bishop for my 2 pawns because there's still 2 pawns on the board, right? So yeah,
Right.
this is a pretty easy win. I mean, this would have. I was very afraid of this for like 3 seconds, then I realized, okay, game is over. But this would have been one hell of a way to mess up this winning position.
Right.
Okay, whatever you did in the game is not really challenging. I mean, this is after move 40, it's all just desperation. Like
Yeah. I
after
mean,
move
you
40, the
you won
games have
so
no.
much material now, and you are like 3 pawns up, and you managed to convert this into a win. So it's amazing. With this, you scored 2 wins against top two players, like two very strong players, and then you drew 4 rounds. Sorry, 3 rounds, and then in the last round you lost that rook endgame. So as you said, fantastic experience that you had playing here. And your trip doesn't stop, right? You are going to now
Yes.
Sharjah and Dubai, which is going to be very, very exciting. Before
Yes.
before we end this, Abhimanyu also wanted to talk about your T-shirt that you are wearing.
Yes.
It's called the
I'll just
Gift
move
of
back a bit.
Chess.
Yes. The Gift of Chess is a non-profit organization which is spreading chess all around the world. I'm the global brand ambassador. For example, they take chess sets to countries that don't have, for example, a lot of resources. Like, for example, let's say Kenyan villages.
Right.
I mean, this is just one theoretical example. And they're giving chess sets all around the world to promote this amazing game.
Hmm. And if you see their tweet, which is there, they've said that we hope to distribute 1 million chess sets by 2030. We want to base manufacturing in strategic locations in Africa. Who can help it that who can help make that happen? Chess provides visibility, industry provides sustainability. It's very cool that this is what they are doing. But tell me, how do you decide on such initiatives, at this age? Is there something that kind of resonates with you, or these are decisions which you let others take in your life, like let's say your dad, and so on, or do you also think about these things?
Sure, this is a very interesting question. I mean, this was the second I heard of the gift of chess, I was hearing of their mission, I was very amazed. Because frankly, this is like, for example, 1 million chess sets. Like, imagine how many more people can play this royal game. And of course, this game I've spent all my life, and I decided to become associated with them.
Brilliant. So that's already amazing. Today we spoke about your book, we spoke about Sigeman, we spoke about Gift of Chess, and you're doing so many things. We spoke about your school, you're studying there. I think you are truly an amazing multitasker. You are able to
Thank you.
manage so many things at the same time, and yet you are able to focus. As you said, you were just studying before this interview, and as the interview began, you just started rattling out these variations. I think the ability to switch from one to another, this is the key. Does chess help in any way for that, or?
Definitely. I mean, one of the main things about chess is it requires a lot of time, energy, and it takes a lot of concentration. So I can definitely say that it's helped me focus better in a lot of other areas. For example, like in maths or English.
Brilliant. Very cool. And also, I have a couple of pictures here. This is you at the closing ceremony, receiving the joint second position. Then this is your win against Jorden, and also your win against Vincent. There's a nice cutout of the clock where Vincent is down to 4 seconds there. And also there's this nice picture of you with Jakob. Was it the first time you met him?
Yes, I've had a lot of camps and I've done a lot of his books, and yeah, he's an excellent coach. Like I feel that like he's one of the best coaches in the world. Like all the exercises that he's found, like with all the camps that I've been through with him, all the books I've done, for example, like his calculation books, like Grandmaster Calculation. I think something around that was the title. I'm not entirely
Yes,
sure though.
Grandmaster Preparation
Preparation,
Calculation.
yeah.
When you said this is a matter of comparison, I realized that it's a word you also. I mean, you might have read it in different books, but he gives these different ways of calculating. Yeah, comparison,
Yes.
elimination, so on.
Yes, he's helped me a lot. I cannot thank him enough.
Well, amazing. Abhimanyu, good luck for your trip ahead, and thank you for sparing so much time talking to us, showing all of these different things that we discussed today, and good luck on your journey to hitting 2600 soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.